All right. Well, good morning, everybody. We are going to go ahead and get started with today's agent development training. I want to first of all thank Steve Cavajola for handling the last 2 weeks for us. Cav, I heard rave reviews and that you did a great job. So I would encourage you guys, we will be posting the recent ADT sessions out on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't familiarized yourself with the YouTube channel, it'd be worth checking out. I've got we're probably pushing 100 plus hours of training content that's out there. We also have our summer speaker series from last year out there where I interviewed different agents. We've got specific sections out there for the new agent cookbook and ICRA training and some specific things like that. So there's different playlists that are available on that YouTube channel. But within a week or so of each ADT session, I try to ask Megan, my executive assistant, to get that posted out there so that you guys can go back and review it if you missed it, or just go back to certain sections. So those are all, you can fast forward through them to the area you want to watch as well. So if there's content you're trying to get back to, should be pretty easy to handle that through the YouTube channel. So Cav, thanks again for stepping in the last 2 weeks. For those of us who were able to attend the celebration, we'll talk a little bit more about this in our July meeting, territory meeting, but it was I think an incredible success. I would tell you, if you've never had the opportunity to attend one of our celebration events, it should be something from a business perspective that's kind of a bucket list thing for you. Being able to attend these celebrations just changes your outlook, your philosophy, your ideas about what's possible, and it gives us always a much larger sense of like the size and scale and scope of the organization. Um, we were able to be in Boca Raton for about a week. It was a great event. We had one night of celebration. We had one day of meetings. Other than that, it was a lot of R&R. And then for our territory team, I actually hosted an event on Thursday where we spent some time beachside, cabanas by the pool, and then had a dinner that night. So it is a great opportunity for bonding and just spending time with fellow peers in the business and getting to know other people from across the country. When we do our event here in a couple of weeks, in Granger, Indiana, the territory event. I'm going to ask a few of our first time attenders to just share their thoughts and their insights about what it is and how it impacted them. I know for a fact my first celebration event was December of 2001. I started in September of 2001. Spent 9/11/01 with Steve Cavajola, and then I had a quick start and was invited on a wild card to attend. And I will tell you that event that I attended my first year in the business probably had a significant impact on the trajectory of my business and kind of what I ended up doing in the business over the last 25 years. So if you haven't attended, I did encourage you to go out there. The new contest rules for next year are out there. The top 100 agents will get an automatic invitation to come, and then there's a lot of other ways and categories that you can qualify as well. We'll probably have some wild cards as well, and so we'll talk a little bit more about that and give you guys a little more perspective, share some video content from the event and things in our July meeting. But that's where we were 2 weeks ago. I took a family vacation last week, so I wasn't here last week. Hopefully, you guys had a great 4th of July, and everybody was able to retain all their digits and have a good time with family. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here because I do have a couple of announcements and updates that I wanted to work
I
my
don't
way
want,
through.
but it's hunters.
Oh, I'm going to mute you,
Look.
Lauren. Sorry. So we'll try to manage the mutes. So I did want to give you guys a quick update. I know we had talked to our Northern Indiana agents about this, but I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of this contest that Grick is currently running. It is a pretty significant contest. We have agents in these contests who have gotten 20, 25, $30,000 bonuses from just doing what we should be doing every single day. And so I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of this. There's nothing that you need to do to opt into it, but it is called our All In All Summer contest, and it runs from June 1st through September 30th. And basically, what you need to do to be able to get into the money is you need to have at least 40 eligible UHC branded product applications underwritten by Golden Rule. Between June 1st and September 30th, they've got to be issued by October 15th. And then you'll earn bonus payouts on top of your standard commissions with no cap of any sort. It's important to note that only applications submitted with an EFT payment will count towards the baseline and be eligible for the bonus payout. So if you set somebody up on a credit card or you do some sort of a direct bill or something, that application will not count. There will not be a bonus associated with that. We know for a fact, looking at the data, that payments that are set up on an electronic funds transfer is stickier business than any other payment method. So I know many of our agents have transitioned. I've personally transitioned to this. I don't accept credit cards. I tell our clients when we're doing anything that I can. Honestly, it's not just UHC; it's any carrier that I work with. I tell them that the carrier would prefer to set this up on an EFT, so I need your bank information, your routing number, and your account number for the account you want it taken out of. I just don't even give them an option any longer. Part of that is because of the persistency of the business on an EFT, but part of it is some of these bonus opportunities as well. I will tell you, credit cards tend to get hacked, credit cards get changed, credit cards expire, and we do a lot more work as agents chasing down people when that happens, as opposed to just setting it up on an EFT. It continues until the client stops it until the policy cancels. So, just a quick plug for EFTs there. The
Silas,
Yeah, go
quick
ahead.
quick question related to this. How do we see how many apps we have placed that go towards this contest?
So there's a couple of places, and I haven't checked the contest here recently, so I don't know when that was most recently updated. But you typically can access them through the carrier page on the Resource Center. You go in through the carrier page, and the contest link is posted there typically. You can also track them on the uh1.com/broker website. So there's a tracking and an accounting there as well. So two different places that you should be able to see it. I will tell you the health markets one doesn't update. Neither one of them update in real time. There's usually a little bit of a delay there. So as you're looking at the numbers, if you're like, hey, I just wrote a couple applications in the last couple of days and I don't see them there, just give it a couple of days and the system will actually catch up. But you can look at these bonus payments, guys. Tri-term medical plans. I sell the Plan 100 when I'm selling the tri-term typically. It's a $500 bonus per application. Some of the other tri-terms are 400. The short terms are 100. The health protector guard are 175 or 50 per application. And then all the supplemental and the non-insurance products all have some sort of a bonus associated with them as well. So just wanted to make sure you guys were all aware of this and that you were tracking on it. Just try to get to 40 and it'll be a really nice payout for you. Anything you climb above 40, obviously that just continues to rack up the bonus opportunity for you. So. I also wanted to recap an announcement that went out in the last week or so around HPG, the Health Protector Guard commission enhancement. I know we've done a lot of training around this recently. I will tell you there's some YouTube videos out on the YouTube channel, some recent trainings that we did, and I've got a couple of other videos, one by Mike Weiner and one by Steve Cavajola that I'm going to be sharing around how to present the Health Protector Guard. I just need to get that email out to all of you. But health markets did recently increase the commissions on the Health Protector Guard. This is for policies after July 1st. And this is becoming an extremely viable alternative, creative alternative to a traditional ACA plan. Health Protector Guard, maybe the Med Mutual Protect over the top of it. That is a really dynamic combination for those clients who are healthy and maybe don't qualify for much of a government subsidy. I pulled the numbers. This is actually from the Resource Center. And so you guys can see that as of 7/1, these products are increasing. And you can, if you look kind of closely here, I know it's kind of tiny, but they're going up by about 2%. So a 2% increase in commission. So for ages 18 through 59, tier 1's at 20%, tier 2's 23.7, tier 3 is 25 or 26, and tier 4 is almost a 27, 28% in commission on that. So those are nice commissions on those products, and those are pretty decent sized premiums in a lot of situations as well. And then you can also see there's a really nice trail on this as well. So for if you're tier 2 plus, there's an 8% residual renewal commission on the Health Protector Guard. So just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that update as well. Wanted to remind everybody about AHIP certification. AHIP has launched now. I think Rachel had sent out the link for everybody. So I just wanted to comment quickly on this. I've had some questions from people, newer agents saying, should I do Medicare this coming AEP? And I would tell you it depends on where you're at in the business. My opinion is that if you've not yet been through a full AEP OEP and you're not at least 10,000 FYCRs, you should not engage in Medicare. That's kind of the I guess the barometer that I would use to determine whether or not you should be involved in it. If you've been through one AEP, OEP, and you're pushing towards tier 2 status and you're on a consistent pace to get there, I think getting involved in Medicare could be a really lucrative thing for you. The reason I tell newer agents who haven't been through an AEP or less than 10,000 FYCRs to hold off is because there's a lot of work, unpaid work that has to be done to get you into Medicare. You've got to do AHIP, you've got to go do carrier certifications, you got to learn the business, you got to sit through our trainings to try to help you understand it. It's also a very regulated business. So oftentimes when people step into Medicare the first year, I feel like they take a little bit of a step backwards to take two steps forward in year two. And if you're brand new, I just want you to focus on the under 65, enrolling clients, cross-selling into supplemental and life insurance, and making some money and building your client base. So that's kind of my thought on it. If you have an individual question about your situation, want to talk, I'd encourage you to reach out to your sales leader, reach out to me. We'll help guide you through that. If you do engage in Medicare this coming AEP, I believe that your AHIP should be done by the end of this month. I would push everybody really hard to try to get AHIP done as quickly as you can and get it off your plate. That's really a key to becoming successful, I think, in this business is getting those certifications done ASAP. If you do this through the link that I have here or the link that was sent out to you, you do get a $50 discount on your AHIP. I know some of the carriers, depending on the volume that you did with them, offer the same type of deal or even more. I know one carrier offered to pay for all of my AHIP because of the volume of business I did with them last year. So you can also do it through a carrier if you would prefer. But if you don't have a carrier giving you better than a 50% discount, I just do it through the Health Markets link here. There is a cost to it. Sandra, what is it? 175 maybe? I think you're muted, but I think it's 175, and then with the $50 discount, it's 125. Okay, I see you nodding, so I think that's correct. And you can submit once you get your AHIP certification, you can submit the remaining cost of AHIP through the reimbursement process, and send that through Christine at the end of the month and get reimbursed as long as you have monies in your Lead Connect account to pull from. So that is a Lead Connect reimbursable expense. So, so that's AHIP. After AHIP, then you have to do your carrier certifications. So every carrier that you're going to sell, you need to do the certification for them and become certified to sell their products the next year. The carrier certifications do vary by carrier. It can take, I mean, I'd say first time you plan on another 1 to 2 hours per carrier of certifications that need to be done. And that's typically done by logging into their website and doing their online certifications. I always put out there that our goal is to have AHIP done by 8/1 and then the carrier certification is done by 9/1, by September 1st. If you can do that and hit those two deadlines or marks, I think you're in a really good position to do the rest of the preparation that needs to be done to have a successful EEP OEP. And then in late August and early September, this is when we're going to be trying to bring in all of our carrier partners for in-person or virtual training. They're going to give us insights on the 2027 plans and kind of build on the certification that you did online with the carriers. So that's kind of fun. I'll just quickly and see, do we have any questions about that sequence or questions about AHIP or carrier certifications? Sandra, is there anything in the chat box? Okay.
Well, I think you're frozen. Oh, we just lost our host. Can you guys hear me? I think he'll be coming back here soon. Any questions though about Medicare, AHIP certifications with carriers? Toya, you got a question? What? Wow,
Yeah.
what does?
Yeah, I thought the discount code was automatic. I logged in like last week and I thought I saw the $50 off, but I logged in today and I don't see it anymore. So I was wondering if anybody had any um, codes or coupons for the discount on
I
AHIP.
would I would just try that link again. Go through the health markets link.
Okay,
Yeah, just try
I'll do
that
that.
again.
Okay, cool. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Lauren asked, Lauren Roush, can we do the carrier cert before AHIP? Depends on your status. Some of us were able to do some of the certifications. They invited us to be able to do it a little bit early. However, normally the process is you must do AHIP first and then apply that AHIP result to each carrier site so that you don't have to do as many review modules in the carrier site. So but also, Lauren, you did receive UHC and Anthem invites to complete prior to doing AHIP. That could definitely be. When's the next Medicare training? Yes, we are actually going to be hosting another Medicare training series coming up the end of this month starting. We're finalizing the dates, but we do have those. Those will all be live sessions. This past time we had you watch our older videos, but those need updated. So we are doing live sessions starting this the end of this month. So we'll be sending out that schedule, and those will be recorded. Other questions? Our host has returned.
I don't know what happened there, guys. I apologize.
I don't know. You froze and you disappeared. So there were a couple questions. So we got it taken care of.
That's why you're always here as my sidekick, Sandra. So thank you for
Yeah.
stepping in. I do
Ah,
apologize.
I hear a bonus in the works.
Sure, it is actually. It is. All right, I'm going to jump back over to my slideshow here. So, was there anything else, Sandra, the questions around AHIP or carrier certifications at all?
No, we got that all taken care of. So,
Perfect.
and
I
we
wanted
are
to
going
use,
to be doing another Medicare series training, and that's what we were just talking about. And we've got our dates finalized towards the end of this month. So we'll be sending out a notice for that.
yeah, and that's actually pretty good if you guys haven't tuned into that before. Also, last year's version is available on the YouTube channel. What we do is we do 4 2-hour sessions, and kind of spread them out a little bit. And it's pretty good content, I think, that we put together on that. And we have some subject matter experts come in, and we've got really good reception on that. I did want to give you guys a little bit of an update on the FFM as well. For those of you who might be new, the federally facilitated marketplace certification is something that we have to do every year. The first time you do it, it's the longest, most arduous version of it. In subsequent years, I think I did it in 20 minutes or something last year, or half hour, less than an hour it took me, where the initial one takes 4 or 5 hours oftentimes. So the FFM is going to be going dark soon. So what that means is new agents won't be able to get through the FFM certification starting about a week from now, and then it will reopen. And when it's relaunched, we'll all need to go back through that recertification. And my goal on that would be to get us all through the FFM recertification by 10/1. So we've got some deadlines here. I'll keep pushing these out. We're going to continue to send them out. We are going to be launching a self-reporting tracker just so you can help us keep track of where you're at, where we're at. And what we're going to do is we're going to have all the carriers on there, the FFM, the AHIP. Rachel will be sharing that with you here in the next week or so, but it then allows you to go in as you do the certifications and just check the boxes next to the different carriers so you can keep track and we can keep track of where we're at as far as our ready to sell is concerned.
Yeah,
Sandra?
she has shared that. So, but if you don't have access, let us know. Also, for any of those that need to do their continuing education for keeping their license towards the end of this year, me included, get those done as soon as you can.
Yeah, you can, just so you know, when you do AHIP certification, you can get some CE credits for that too. So the AHIP I use that every single year and pay for the extra CE
Six,
doing the work.
six.
Yeah, it's 6 credit hours every year. So that's, between 2 years, 12 hours you can knock out just on AHIP. So wanted to touch on that. Also wanted to remind you guys, I sent this out a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, just our new agent training resources. So the roundtable, what you're on today, the ADT, the live transfer sessions, those are tonight and tomorrow with Justin Wired. So if you're working live transfers or you want to better understand how to work them, or you just want to bond with some people who are maybe getting started in the business, this is a great live training opportunity to sit in and watch Justin. We then have our open office hours with Sandra, Wednesdays at 2, and that is an opportunity for you to just come in and ask questions about anything related to the business. Sandra is a subject matter expert on a lot of different things, including our technology and quoting and enrollment and, fact finding and the sales process. So use that as you can. And then we have our SCU. This is by invitation only once agents hit 10,000 FYCR. So Cab, thanks for running that. And then we've got our new agent assistance group text. And I see a number of you are using that. If you're a new agent in your first 18 months and you're tier one and you're not on this text group with WhatsApp yet, I'd encourage you to download WhatsApp and then send me a message or email me, text me, and or Sandra, and we can get you added to that. But that's a way that you can get quick answers on things in real time from our top trainers and sales leaders and agents. So,
And I think Mike is also helping us to monitor that.
yeah, he is. All the sales leaders, I think, are
Yeah,
on it,
I
actually.
just didn't see his name on there.
Oh, it's not. You're right. It's not on there, but he is helping us. So, thank you for that.
Mhm.
We do have our Carthauser best practices monthly sessions. I want to put a plug in for tomorrow at noon. Hopefully, you all can join us. We'll be hosting live, Cliff and I, and we have John Pearson coming in again. Really dynamic speaker. So I'd encourage you to join us tomorrow. Grab some lunch and just do it over your lunch hour. You can just tune in and listen. I'll be sending out the link on that a little bit later today. Wanted to put a quick plug in for our recruiting bonus that's out there. Health Markets has put out a $4,500 referral bonus if you refer somebody into the business and we bring them in and they hit their milestones throughout the course of their first 52 weeks in the business. And then our sales leaders have added another $2,250 bonus to the Health Markets referral bonus. And so we're looking at a total of $6,750 that you could earn by referring somebody who hits the milestones into the business. We're looking to double the size of our organization. One of the big things that Dan Garrison talked about in our business meeting in Boca is that our goal in 2028, we're gearing up for 2028, is to hit 4 billion in sales. We're at about 2.5 billion now, so it's a big leap, not quite double. But my plan is to double the size of our organization, and I'm working actively to do that. I've hired a recruiter that's working directly for me to assist with this. I know a lot of your sales leaders are doing the same, but a lot of the great people in the organization come on a referral basis. So as you run into clients, as you run into friends, as you run into people looking for a great opportunity, get them into the system, get them over to us, and we'll have a conversation with them. The last thing I wanted to touch on from an announcement perspective was our territory celebration event. I'm going to be sending out another email on this today, but we are scheduled for July 23rd. I did have to move the location. We were originally going to be at Corby's Pub. We've moved this to a location that we've used previously, which is a beautiful location in Granger, Indiana. It's called Bar Louie, but I think it's the number one Bar Louie in the country. I've had some questions around, is that a chain? I think it is. But the Bar Louie in Granger is one of the nicer ones I've ever been in. We have the second floor reserved. We're going to be having our celebration event there. All of the sales leaders are going to be there. We're going to have Rick Bell and Ronnie Bell coming in as well. And then we're going to have a lunch event to follow with open bar and cocktails and things like that. So I would encourage you attend, engage, and plan to stay after and just cross-pollinate with other people in our territory. I think you can pull a lot of great information from just sitting down next to somebody and having a good conversation. I am going to ask you to RSVP, and we need to know, are you attending? Do you have any guests? So if you have somebody who's coming with you, whether it's a sub-agent or an assistant, or a spouse that's involved in the business. We just need to know a number of heads. Are you going to stay for lunch, and how many guests do we need for lunch? I need this really in the next few days so that we can lock down the seating arrangements and the food that we're ordering for catering. So I'll send that out, and if you guys can respond to Megan Smith, my executive assistant, on that, I'd really, really appreciate that. So any questions about anything that we've talked about to this point?
Silas, was that a plus one? I didn't catch anything about that.
So it's not really a plus one, like as far as like just a spouse coming. I When I was thinking about who attends these types of events, it's usually the career agents, and then if you have a sub agent or an assistant, or we have a few people where they have a spouse who is involved in the business, then that I think would make sense. But just bringing a significant other, that's not really the intent of these types of.
That's
It's
fair.
more of a business meeting, right? We do
That's
have
what I
events
thought.
like that we host where it is a our celebration event. Obviously, we all get to take one. I host a territory event each year that that we spouses can be included. But for this one, this is more of a business meeting, Chris.
That's fair.
Make sense? Cool. Appreciate the question. Are there other questions before we move on? All right. I'd like to spend the rest of our time together focusing on two products that we don't spend a lot of time on, but that I want to make sure you have in your back pocket. One of them is, I think, just an arrow you need to have in your quiver, especially if you're dealing with higher income, higher net worth individuals who tend to travel outside of the country. And that's international travel insurance. The second one is disability insurance. Insurance, in my opinion, is something that we all sell far too little of. And we'll kind of talk through that. I want to focus on the international travel insurance, though. We have actually two carriers that we work with. I have gravitated completely to Blue Cross and Blue Shield Global Solutions. This used to be known as Geo Blue, so it's one in the same. It's actually a division of Anthem, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and they do an incredible job. I've purchased this product every time I travel internationally for my own family. I've got a lot of clients, and I've actually coached my clients on how to buy this from me without my assistance. And I'll kind of show you guys how that works as well. I just wanted to give you a quick idea. These international travel insurance policies are not monster premiums and commissions, right? I'm not selling them because I'm making a bunch of money on them. I'm selling them because it really ties the client to me and it helps protect a need that a lot of times they don't even know that they have. You can see here, depending on your tier level, this is the Geo Blue or the Global Solutions product, 7 to 10%, depending on your tier level. Usually these policies are sold in short increments, like just for the time that somebody is traveling outside of the country. And so, oftentimes they're just not that big of premiums. If somebody's going a week, 2 weeks, even when I took my family to Costa Rica over the holidays, and I think my premium was like $250 to cover my family of five for the week, but that gave us a zero deductible and $1 million of coverage. And so I felt like it was a good investment for that time that we're gone. A couple of things about GeoBlue and a couple of ways that I present this or position this with my clients. First of all, I'm constantly listening to my clients. And if they talk about traveling or going overseas, I ask them if they have international travel insurance. And I would tell you, sometimes people say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I got my trip insured," and I'm like, "No, no, no. I'm not talking about trip interruption insurance. I'm not talking about baggage insurance. There's all kinds of insurance that people can purchase when they travel internationally to help protect against the trip if they can't go last minute or help, their luggage. Sometimes those policies have a little bit of medical maybe tied into them. But I tell them, I'm talking about international medical travel insurance so that if you're hospitalized or you become very sick or God forbid you pass away overseas, you have insurance in place to cover those expenses. The reality of it is that, and I tell my clients this, you should not rely on your domestic based insurance, health insurance, to cover you internationally. I don't care if it's VA benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, group insurance, ACA, like those plans were not designed to give you significant benefits overseas. And obviously, anything that you do overseas, there's no network, there's no way, no billing infrastructure. It's just a very difficult thing to try to use that. You will see on some policies that there's a little bit of international travel insurance. I think Medicare supplements have a little bit in some situations. Some Med Advantage have a little bit. But I just discount all that. I tell my clients, if you're going to travel internationally, I think you need to buy international travel insurance. Because this type of insurance not only covers the medical stuff, but it also covers things that you may have never thought about, like airlifting you out of political unrest, airlifting you to an English speaking facility, repatriation of remains. People don't think about that either. What happens if you die when you're in Mexico? Well, you've got to get your body back into the US, or somebody has to get your body back into the US if you don't want to be buried down there. My understanding is that it's a very expensive process to bring a body back into the US. Can't just set your wife up in coach next to you and get her back in, right? There's a whole process to transport dead bodies. So those are things that even if you had medical insurance through your base medical, those things would not be covered. So this is kind of the I guess the conversation that I have with clients if they're traveling internationally. I also have semi-regular emails that I send out to all my clients, just reminding them because people forget about it. People travel internationally all the time and don't buy international travel insurance, and they're fine because nothing happened. But as soon as something happens, you start understanding the need for it. Think about somebody being on a cruise ship, right? Something happens, they have a heart attack. They have to be airlifted off of that cruise ship by a helicopter. I mean, that's just a very, very expensive thing to deal with. So this is something I think that's worth presenting. Once you get appointed with Blue Cross and Blue Shield Global Solutions, which you can apply for that appointment through HOS, through the Health Markets application system. But once you do that, then you actually get set up so that you have a website that is specific to you, where you can quote and enroll clients, or you can send this website to them to quote and enroll. And there's a lot of great information on here. This is my personal website here. And as you kind of work through it, I've got logins now for myself, but I'm just going to put in some dates and give you guys a quick idea of how this would quote. So let's say somebody told me they're leaving on 7/20 and they're coming back on, we'll say they're taking a 32-day vacation, 1 month. And we'll say they're 59 years old. Put in their zip code, 46540. I'll add another spouse. She's 56. You can add more travelers here if you want, and simply get a quote. Now you can see when they come into this, this is a website that Global Solutions has built for me. It's logoed with my name and my contact information at the top. So this is where I quote, and I will send this website to clients, and I'll just tell them, hey, save this or bookmark this page, especially if there's somebody who travels frequently internationally. I'm like, you can come back to this website and purchase a policy whenever you're ready to go on the next trip. So I kind of train clients on that, and I'll get email because they notify you whenever a client purchases a product through this. So I just get random emails monthly. I mean, every month we get a handful of random emails of clients who have purchased a international travel insurance product, and I didn't even talk to them about this particular trip. So, so this particular trip for these 32 days would be $385, which is, I think, very reasonable for two travelers anywhere in the world, 32 days. I typically keep this very simple in that I set it at a zero deductible and $1 million of coverage. Now, you can play with that if you want. I mean, if they want to go to like a $500 deductible, it saves them a little bit of money, but like I just keep it simple. I'm like, let's go zero and $1 million. You can also back down the cap to 500 or something like that. But again, I just go zero $1 million. I think everyone that I've sold has been like that. Now, most of the clients that we're working with already have existing coverage in place, whether it's Medicare, ACA health insurance, something else. As long as they have um, existing domestic health insurance in place, you can cover their pre-existing conditions overseas as well. So there's a lot of great stuff in here. Like I can pull this quote and then I can share it with my client. So a lot of times if they say, hey, we're traveling, we'll get the dates that they're traveling. And then one of my team members will send them, go in here and just build a quote for them and send it to them and just tell them to apply online. When they apply online, usually within I mean, sometimes minutes, they get an approval and they get an email with their insurance documents and everything attached to it for their approval. That includes a printable copy of their card. However, Global Solutions also has a mobile app that you can use, and I use that every time I travel. So the client can download it from their app store, and then they set up a username and password and get logged into it. And then what happens is that the information, all of their information for every trip that they're taking, is loaded into that mobile app on their phone. And so their ID cards are there. I think it's great because as you're traveling, you can actually use that mobile app to look up providers and look at cost and quality ratings for providers anywhere in the world. So, you're in Mexico or you're in Italy or something and you have something happen, you have no clue what doctor to go to. Well, you can use the GeoBlue mobile app to help direct you to, English speaking doctors who have high quality, low cost, those types of things. And then GeoBlue has like a concierge program where what they want you to do is as soon as something happens, they want you to call them and get them involved so that they can grease the wheels and help with transport. Make sure you get to the hospital. Make sure the billing is set up ahead of time. They're handling all the things almost as a concierge service behind the scenes. So I think there's a ton of great stuff that you can do with this particular product. As you scroll down, if you just want to learn more about it, your coverage details, you can go deeper here. Doctors, learn more about their medical assistance programs. The medical benefits are outlined here. So it gives you a good overview of how everything's covered. It's pretty basic when you pick a zero deductible and $1 million of coverage, right? All that stuff is covered. There are a few things that have some maximums on them, like, dental care required due to an injury or for relief of pain. There's some caps on that, some of that stuff. Ambulance for non-medical evacuation does have a little bit of a cap. Prescriptions, there's a $5,000 cap. So there are some caps and things that are worth understanding. But this is a product that I have used a lot. We've sold, I don't know if it's hundreds of policies, but I would say for sure dozens of policies over the years. Again, don't make a ton of money on it, but I think it's just another way to provide a great service to the clients that we serve and really cement ourselves as the go-to, agent for them. So first thing is get appointed. Once you get your email, then you'll be able to set up your website. Then you're kind of good to go. And I've had this website for a long, long time. You can actually log in as an agent on this website as well. And if you go in through the agent login, you can actually see all the policies that you've sold and details around all of that as well. So there's a lot of great data inside of the system. So before I move on, I want to pause and just see what questions we might have about global solutions.
Just a testimony because I actually did this for a client who traveled to Paris, fell, got pretty badly injured, was in the hospital. She had this policy and she paid zero. So, and the company was wonderful to work with. So, it really was a blessing for her.
I had a client who went on a cruise, a European cruise during COVID, and they got COVID and got stuck on the ship. They wouldn't let them, like, they quarantined them. And he had it pretty bad, and so he needed medical care and things, and they had their Geo Blue, and it handled everything. So
Mhm.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
too, you're going to get into pockets of clients where what I'm talking about is probably the simplest way to sell Geo Blue, but Geo Blue has a lot of other international travel products. So like if you're talking to like a missionary who's traveling overseas for an extended period of time, Geo Blue probably has a solution, a longer term solution for them. They've got policies you can purchase for a year plus at a time. They've got policies for like government contractors who are working overseas. So all of those kinds of situations, I don't know if we run into those a ton, but there is a solution, and their sales support is actually very good. So a lot of times, if it's not something simple like a client going on vacation for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, if it's something more complex than that, I'll just call them because they have a lot of different products to meet a lot of different needs. Or if you have a client who's taking an extended vacation, they're going 6 months to Italy or something like that, there might be something, one of their products might fit that solution or that
Yeah.
situation a little bit better than another product. So it's,
Yeah.
talk to them.
I always add on just one extra day just in case they get stuck and had to delay their return trip too. So just that I let them know that too. It's like just in case.
I do the exact same thing. I usually add 1 or 2 days to it, and I just tell them I don't know where you're going to be. And I will tell you, I dug into this a little bit, and GeoBlue does have if they get sick and they're stuck like in an airport overseas and can't get home, there is an option to extend their coverage. It just
Hmm.
takes a little bit of work on their part. So it's
Yeah,
not
but
like it's a hard, fast,
yeah.
it's
But that's
over.
why that app is really nice. And so primary insurance is their main insurance is their primary, and this would then back that up.
Yep. Do you guys have any questions about GeoBlue slash Global Solutions? I've said GeoBlue for so many years, it's hard for me to
I
say.
know. What is it? Global
Global
Solutions?
Solutions, yes.
Global
But
Solutions.
they're very good. We do have one other international travel insurance solution through United Healthcare. It's called IMG, and I used them a couple of times many years ago. But once this came out, this was just a better user interface in my opinion. I felt like their mobile app was awesome. This is the one that I use, so this is the only one that I sell.
Good morning, Salis. I have a questions with the payer. So, who will be the primary payer if they are airlifted in the US?
Did you
Their
catch that,
US
Stephen?
insurance.
Yeah, so it would be for people traveling from the U.S. internationally. I don't think they have a great solution for foreigners coming to the U.S.
No, no.
They,
My question was if they are airlifted to the US.
oh, if they're airlifted to the U.S.
Yeah.
Yes, there is coverage for in certain situations for that. I don't want to say it's just like a blanket. Yes, it's 100% coverage because they just wanted to come back to the U.S. But it depends on the situation. There is coverage if they need to get back to the U.S. though.
Ah, okay.
Good
Thank
question,
you.
Dill. Okay. I'm going to pivot over and we're going to spend the rest of our time talking about another product that's in our portfolio that, again, we don't sell a ton of. And it is our disability insurance carrier. I don't know if anybody on the call has sold disability insurance previously. Sandra, can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to give you guys some perspective. So what I did here is I pulled the commission report from the resource center under the carrier page, and this kind of gives you an idea. And what I'm looking at here is these percentages over here in year one. There are commissions and renewals for year two, three, four, five, and on. So I don't want to dismiss that, but I wanted to just show you the first year commissions because those are always the most significant, and it was such a wide screen. I needed to narrow it down a little bit. So year one, depending on your tier level, these are anywhere from 22% to 47%. It looks like first year commissions, depending on your tier level and the carrier that you're actually selling. One thing that I'll just mention about disability insurance is that when I really step back and objectively think about it, the largest asset that any one of us owns is our ability to generate income. And when you think about it through that lens, we insure so many different things in our lives, right? I mean, people insure their house, they insure their car, they insure, their life, which is a part of that. But we also insure our cell phones. Sometimes we insure our tires. Like we're insuring, little warranties on products that we buy. And we see value in that oftentimes, but many times we don't insure the single largest asset that we have, which is our ability to generate income. And you think about it, whatever your income level is today, multiply that times the number of years that you hope to continue to work and add an inflationary factor to it, and it's a big freaking number. And oftentimes our clients, let alone ourselves, are completely uninsured on that particular piece. And so I've always felt like, I think health insurance and Medicare are what get us in the door. We need to help our clients understand the gaps and holes on those, fill those gaps and holes. I think the conversation should then transition into life insurance and what their needs are around life insurance. And then I think that next step and the next phase of conversation and deepening that relationship with the client then moves into things like disability insurance, long term care insurance. And I would kind of put those two products kind of in the same category, in that disability insurance would be for people probably under 60 years old. Long-term care insurance would be more for people over 60 years old. And they're handling different issues and different problems. But as I think about kind of our sales process and the progression of products that we should be helping clients with, I think, after we've got their core medical, their supplemental, their life insurance, then I think the next conversation should be either about disability or long-term care, depending on which side of that 60-year-old line they actually sit on. So we have a company that we're contracted with that makes this super simple. The company is actually called the Plus Group, and I will share this information with you. This is super easy to do. If you have a client who wants a quote on true disability insurance, all you have to do is you have to go to this website right here. See if I can make this work. The Plus Group, and you don't have to log in. You don't have to do anything. You just come down here and where's it at? Get started. And then you request a disability insurance quote online. As an agent, what happens is you put your agent information in first, and then you move through the prompts to fill in the client information. And there's not a ton of information that's needed here. So I'm just going to show you guys what this looks like real quick. And then you click next, and now you're getting into client information. So name, date of birth, gender, state of residence, marital status, tobacco, height, weight, medications and dosages, and the last 5 years that they've been treated for a condition, received medical advice, their occupation, their job duties, length of employment, do they work from home, do they own their own business, what is their income, income after business expenses but before taxes, so what is their income, and do they have other coverage in place. You click next and hit submit, and that's it. And then what the Plus Group does is they go out and they take your client's situation and they shop multiple carriers to see which carrier is going to hit the sweet spot and give the best product and the best price for that particular client. And then they will email that information to you. I typically get these quotes back within 24 hours. So they're very, very quick response time on it. And when these come in, I want to show you guys. Let me get to my PDFs here. So this is one that I did recently for a client. And this was one of 3 quotes that they sent me. But we did this in January of this year. And I think running a quote, even if you want to just run one of these on yourself, like send it through Plus Group on yourself and get some quotes, this is how you're going to learn product. Because disability insurance is not that difficult to understand. You're just replacing a portion of your client's income if they become disabled and aren't able to work. Like it's as simple as that. And when I say a portion, most disability policies are going to replace usually around 60 to 66% of the client's income if they're unable to work. And so as you kind of look at this is with principle. Depending on somebody's occupation, I mean, if they're an underwater welder or a skydive instructor, they're going to have a different type of occupation class. This particular gentleman that I was working with, he works for the Indianapolis Colts. He's been there for like 25 years. He sells advertising for the Colts. So he's a buddy of mine from Butler. But this particular policy, he's 49 years old. We kind of put on all the information. And basically how we had set it up is we set up a 90-day elimination period. So what this means is after he's been deemed disabled, For 90 days, the policy will kick in and start to pay. And the policy will then start to pay $13,000 per month for a total maximum annual benefit of 156,000. Now that's about, I think it was, well, they said here, this your 13,000 monthly represents 52% of the replacement of your monthly income. So I forget exactly what his income was. The annual cost on this is about 5,400 bucks. So that's the annual premium. They can pay it monthly if they want, but it kind of gives you an idea what it would cost for somebody like this. Now he is a higher income individual. But as you kind of go down through here, ultimately what I'm trying to look at is like what's the monthly, what's the quarterly, the semi-annual, and the annual. So the annual's 5733. They're a little under 500 bucks a month for that. And it's kind of interesting some of these numbers that they put in there. So the premium actually represents less than 2% of your annual income. So I just think about that from a sales perspective. That's one way to position it. Would you pay 2% of your income to protect 66% of it or 52% of it or whatever that number is, the percentage that they're offering? So as you kind of scroll down through here, there's more information that you can, learn about the policy. This is something though, when I think about it, if you became disabled today, based on the terms of your disability coverage, you could potentially receive 2.4 million in benefit. Now I know this guy. He's got a very nice house. He's got a lake house. He's got some great things going on. I would be willing to bet though that no other single asset that he owns has a $2.5 million value to it, right? So that's kind of another way to think through this and maybe get your head in the right space to be able to talk intelligently about this. The only other thing I wanted to show you, there's a lot here, so I'm not going to read through all this. If you want to understand the details of the policy, you can certainly read through it. I was looking for one page here though, and this one may not. Oh, there it is. So I like this because most of these policies give you alternative options then. So this particular policy, so this is what we had done it at is 90 days, and the benefit was going to pay to age 65. And oftentimes I will take these to age 65 because at 65, people can start typically they're very close to receiving Social Security benefits, any pensions, any other retirement income. So I'm trying to replace their income from now until 65 if they become disabled. So the way I typically build it is a 90-day elimination period. That's kind of the most typical, and then pays out to age 65. But if he said, "Hey, I want to pull that down a little bit, and I only want to have a 60-day elimination period," you can see the price would go up pretty significantly. I personally don't think that's worth it to shave 30 days off of the elimination period. Or to go to 180 days, so 6 months before the policy of disability, before the policy would pay, that'd shave a little bit off. But again, I don't think it's worth it. I think the 90 day is kind of the sweet spot on a lot of these policies. And then you can also see if they wanted to change how long it paid for. So the same benefit, 90-day elimination period to age 65, this is the number. But if they go out to 67 or to 70, it's going to just be a little bit more expensive to have that type of coverage. So most of these, no matter what carrier you're looking at, most of these disability policies do have some sort of a chart or, this alternate premium summary. So you can see different elimination periods. I've had a few clients who have said, "Hey, I'd go 365-day elimination period. Like I could survive if I was disabled. I've got enough of a nest egg setback that I can survive for a year, but then I'd like the policy to start kicking in after 365 days." That's almost like setting up the deductible on the policy, if you kind of think about it that way. And the higher, the more time the client's willing to go on that elimination period, the lower the monthly premium is going to be. Some of these policies too, you can build them to be far less expensive than this. You could have a 2 or 3 or a 5 year payout on it. You could limit it to just a couple of years, which would be better than not having anything. I typically start here and then tweak it from here depending on what the client wants and what they need. A lot of this too, once the client kind of understands what you're doing and how you're pulling these numbers, and I tell my clients this, I say, I don't have the ability to manipulate these numbers other than pulling the lever. So once you understand kind of how this works, one way to back into this might be for you to tell me what your monthly budget is for this, and then I can tell you how much benefit I can get you for what you're willing to spend. So this guy says, "Hey, I don't want to spend 477 bucks a month. I probably need to be in the $250 a month range." Okay, no problem. I'd work with the plus group. I would call the plus group immediately. Then I'd say, "Hey, we got a case here I'm working on. This guy's got a budget of 250. We quoted them at 477. Like, send me a couple of alternative quotes, and it might be a less, instead of getting 13,000 a month, maybe they only get 7,000 a month. 7,000 a month is better than zero, right? So you're bridging some of the gap with even a smaller policy that costs less. I would say from a carrier appointment perspective, all of these carriers that are represented there, and if I go back to this and look at this, it's a Surety, Illinois Mutual, Peterson, and Principal are the big four. There's a couple more that they might bring into the equation in certain situations, but those are the big four. Um, but how it works is it's just in time appointment. So when you have your first case, you've literally sold it, the client's agreed to buy it. As you're filling out the application for it, you would also they would provide you with the paperwork that you need to fill out to become an appointed agent with that particular carrier. So you don't need to get appointed ahead of time or anything like that. You don't need to apply for anything through Haas. You can start running quotes for clients directly right now. Going to uh, it's the Plus Group Texas, so the pgtsolution.com. You can go right there and you don't have to log in or anything, just like I showed you. We also have Andrea. Andrea is a great resource. She's the vice president of business development. She's done a couple of trainings for our Northern Indiana agents over the years, and she does a good job of kind of explaining this as well. But it'd take her 40 minutes to do what I just gave you in 15 minutes. So it is a great product. It is something that I think we should seriously be considering, especially with those clients that they don't necessarily have the ability to survive financially if they're not working. I know Steve Cavajola has asked a great question over the years, just around if you're not able to work, how long can you survive financially? Do you have a nest egg? Do you have an emergency fund? There's a lot of different types of questions that can be asked to kind of get to the point and get to the understanding of what this looks like. Now, I have some clients who will say things to me like, well, I've got a $20,000, critical illness policy and a $20,000 accident policy. Do I really need disability insurance? My answer would be absolutely. Because you think about those supplemental benefits, those are going to be a lump sum tax-free cash infusion in the moment. Those are going to help you pay your deductibles and maybe help cover the lost income in the first couple of days or weeks of that. But what if you don't recover, right? What if you don't come back from that? Now you've got this long-term disability that would kick in and replace your income for an extended period of time. So I think a lot of times when you're talking through this too, just to do some quick math with them and, ask them, how much are you making annually right now? How long are you planning to work till? Like, when do you plan to retire? And just back into some quick math. If you're making $100,000 a year right now and you're planning to work for another 20 years, that's a big amount of money that could potentially be gone if you're not able to do the job you're able to do today. So how are you protecting yourself against that? I would say that, just a quick side note for us who are agents and have built successful practices, we have the tremendous blessing of residual revenue coming off of our book of business, right? So I know for my disability planning that I've done, I don't have to carry a monster amount of disability because I know there's going to be a pretty good chunk if I become disabled and can't work, and I'm not able to do this job, that I know my residual revenue off of my book of business would be significant and for an extended period of time, right? So I've kind of built those in as well. Stefan asked, are these disability benefits tax free? So yes, they are in most situations. There are a few situations where they could become taxable, but this is one of the reasons why I recommend that people pay the premium for disability insurance with post-tax dollars. Sometimes, most of our clients who are individuals or self-employed people, they don't necessarily have the ability to pay premiums for insurance with pre-tax dollars. But there are some scenarios you think about where somebody works for an employer and they've got disability insurance through their employer. It does matter whether or not they're paying that premium pre-taxed or post-taxed as to how the benefits are taxed. And I'm not going to profess to be an expert on all of that, but I do know there's impact there. If you're paying a disability insurance premium on a pre-tax basis and you get a benefit, it's probably going to be taxed, right? The government's going to get their money one way or another. They're not going to let you to pay for it pre-taxed and then take a tax-free benefit too. Sandra?
So one of the things also as you're working with your client is asking them questions about their hobbies. If they are high risk, such as scuba diving or martial arts, they will still probably be eligible for this because that is one of the questions, but there might be an exclusion or a waiting period should they become disabled while they've been engaged in one of their high risk activities. That happened with one of my clients, and he got approved. It had this exclusion, but or like going to say like a 12-month waiting period, and then if he becomes injured second year, third year because of his activity, he was a martial arts black belt. It would then pay out. So it's not just work related; it's also if they're engaged in a hobby.
And I would encourage you, your first couple of cases, when you get the illustration, read it. Like read the whole thing because that's going to be the fine print on the details that you need to and highlight stuff that you think like, hey, I need to disclose this to the client. I'd rather a client go into something with eyes wide open than to be bit on the back end by an exclusion or something that they weren't aware of and or I didn't disclose to them or I didn't know
Mhm.
about. So, and the Plus Group's great too. If you want to talk to them, call them anytime. They really are great at the work they do and they're very responsive. They're one of our most responsive carrier partner vendors, I guess. So that's what I have for today. What questions do you guys have? Cav, is there anything you want to add or any follow up from the last 2 weeks that's worth adding before we wrap things up today?
I would just say the easiest way to kind of start plucking some of these extra products out is start to use the financial snapshot on the back of your fact finder. So again, when you take care of their health, their subs, their life, asking these questions, that's where you're going to pull out people that need long-term care. That's where you're going to pull out people who maybe want to provide college funds, disability. I just sold. There's a question that, if they're a business continue. I just sold a buy sell agreement last week for a guy in a $250 life insurance premium because if something happens to him, this is going to help buy out the partner and all that kind of stuff. And so instead of trying to do all that on the first appointment, once you get done taking care of their immediate needs, start doing that financial snapshot so that gives you something to talk about in future conversations. And just that, and the thing on the snapshot says rated 1 to 5. I don't do that. Is this important to you? Yes or no? It's either important or it's not. And if it is important, it gives you something well, do you want to address that now? I get a lot of long-term care. Do you want to address that now? Okay. But if they don't, when I talk to them again, hey, we talked about this last year. And I think some of you have heard the story of, a client of mine. We talked about long-term care. Wasn't that important? The next year I brought it up and he's like, yeah, my parents are starting to deal with this. And it turned out to be a $400 premium for him and a $300 premium for his wife. I think my advance was $3,500. It was worth the year wait. But I just had that on my fact finder to know to bring it up when we talk.
Cav, when and how are you transitioning into that financial snapshot that's on the back of the fact finder?
Basically, I'm doing that when we're done with what's called the three component solution. Their health, their subs. I usually do that on my initial appointment. Then I'll do a follow-up appointment to take care of their life insurance needs. And at the end of that one, that's when I'll go through that. And it's things where all of a sudden, and the reason I do it that way is I want to meet with these people, especially if they're new. If I can meet with them 2 or 3 times in the first 90 days, I kind of cement myself as their agent. I know people talk about the 30, 60, 90-day follow-up. I'm kind of doing 30, 60, 90-day appointments. Now, some people are like, no, I don't need any of that. Okay. But yeah, it's usually I want to take care of their health and subs first. I want their life insurance appointment to be a separate appointment. And then any of this other stuff is kind of there. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. Sandra?
Question in the chat, can employers pay for this or does this have to be paid by the client?
No, I think employers can pay for this as an employee benefit. There's also group disability insurance that employers can put in place as well. I think if an employer was doing it, I'd probably talk to the Plus Group about that, Maggie, just to see that based on the circumstances and the situation, what would be recommended. What I presented today and what the Plus Group, I think the majority of what they do is individual disability where the consumer is buying it for themselves. Um, I think employers all day long, actually, I do that for my staff and my employees. We have short-term and long-term disability that we offer for employees as well. So I think the employer conversation is probably a little different conversation. I will say very quickly, if you're dealing with companies who don't have disability insurance in place at all, I do recommend that they put that in place. I'll tell you, I've dealt with a couple of situations over the course of my career where I've watched companies. One of them I'll just tell you about real quick. It was two business partners went together, started an electrical company. They were pretty successful. The one business owner developed a brain tumor, and it's been years. I don't think he's passed yet, but years of treatment, inability to work, inability to contribute. But they've been this partnership, and the one family is carrying the weight for the other family. And this business is continuing to thrive, but it's more and more. And they've just got this other family that, I mean, they just feel like they need to drag them along for the ride and pay them half of the profits, right? And it's just a really tough situation because once you get into a disability type of scenario as an employer or a business partner, it's a really hard thing to cut off compensation for somebody who's unable to work. So I tell employers, I think it's good to have some sort of a disability policy in place because that puts a plan in place. If something happens, here's the sequence of what transpires and how you're paid and the end date. And it's all predetermined so that somebody's not having to make that decision in the moment, right? I tell people if you don't have a disability policy in place as an employer, you have one in place. It's just very poorly planned, right? So that's something that's pretty inexpensive for smaller companies to offer and something that they can. Now, I will say, like the disability policy, that I offer, it probably it may not be everything that someone would need, right? So people can buy disability insurance on top of their employer plan as well. I think what I offer would be helpful, but I don't, it wouldn't replace all of someone's income either. So those are some things to kind of think through, and the Plus group can certainly help answer questions on that, or if you have a specific case to work through, they'd be a good resource for that. All right, we're at the top of the hour, folks. What questions do you have about anything we've talked about today? Tallman, you got anything to say? Nothing? Appreciate you joining us. We don't always have tier four agents on the call, but I noticed you jump on and yeah, hopefully there's something
The
valuable.
one, yeah, no, I'm good.
Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Nah, nah, I'm good.
All right. Sounds good. Well, hey, everybody. I'm working to put together next week's content. I really want to start working into our summer speaker series, which is a series that I host every year of top agents from across the country. I'm working to get that lined up. I don't have someone for next week quite yet, but I'm working hard on it. So I'll keep you guys updated. We're going to continue with ADT every Tuesday at 10 o'clock through the end of the year. So, continue to keep this on your schedule. I appreciate you joining. I hope there was something of value here. Have a great week, everybody. Stay cool out there. See ya. Bye bye.